And what I'll do, Mr. Taylor, I will move it for you. So just say next slide, and I got you.
Thank you. Thanks for all the people that are here today in person, and all the people that are here online. My name is Chris Taylor, as you heard. I'm here to represent SCORE. What SCORE stands for, it's really Service Corps of Retired Executives, but we don't say that anymore because a lot of us are sliding that way. Okay. Oh, sorry. You can see me okay? So a lot of us are not retired. And what we really do, if you would change the slide, please. Next slide. Oh, there we go. Okay, here's what we are. We're a nonprofit. We're dedicated to helping entrepreneurs. That's people that are starting business, running a business, even selling a business. And really what we do is provide mentorship. I'll tell you what that means in a minute. Slide, please. It's working great now. So 3 things that we do: provide mentoring, low cost or no cost training and resources. If you go to SCORE, SCORE.org, you can look on there. We have enough stuff online that would take you more than a weekend to go through. It is packed with information. And in that is everything from recorded webinars to templates to how to start a business, how to run a business, how to fund a business, all the things that you need to think about to start up. Here's what mentorship is about. I'm a mentor. I'm just one of 13,000 people across the United States that does this. We're all free. We're all volunteer. We do not get paid for this. We don't want to be paid for this. We just want to share our business knowledge with people that can benefit from it. That's it. And mentorship is just like this. Mentorship is a one-on-one relationship with people to listen and guide them. So when you think of people, you ever see people climbing Mount Everest, right? I mean, they have a Sherpa along with them. We're like the Sherpa. You still got to climb, but we're up there with you, making that climb. That's really what it's all about. Next slide, please. So if that's the SCORE.org, you can click on that's a hot spot. And I believe this will, I hope you will please share this whole presentation with people after this, including my contact information. It'll show you how to find a mentor, take a workshop, and browse the library. There's the camera. I know what I was looking at there. Next. All right, so here's what I'm going to go through very quickly, because this is a program that I present normally over 90 minutes, but I'm going to do it in less than 20-some minutes, 25 minutes. And really, it's a sample of things that we do that says, all right, how do I start a business? What do I do? So this is called creating a quick business plan. The quick is the important part because it's on one page you're going to do this. Now, having put it on one page, there's a heck of a lot of thought that goes behind that before you put it on that page. But that's what it is. Next slide, please. So there's the one page. It's called the Lean Canvas. Someone else created this. We did not. We just use it. When you look at those 9 blocks, I'm going to quickly go through each of these 9 blocks. Really what this does is present a thought process for you if you want to start a business, if you want to start anything. By the way, you want to think about businesses that were started. There was Amazon, right? We all see Amazon. That was started by a guy in his garage selling books. That's all he did. We, as mentors, will never, ever, ever discourage you or say, oh, that's a bad idea. We don't even think that way. We just say, all right, let's ask some questions to help you think through that. Can you imagine the guy, Jeff Bezos, that started that, if somebody came out and said, it's not going to work, selling books out of your garage? That's why it's so important. You need encouragement. We're here to give encouragement based on knowledge. Next page, please. All right, why do we plan? Next page, please. I'm going to race through this. And again, you'll have copies of this later. And by the way, I will be giving a full presentation of this in September, as will other people, which is a longer thing. I just really want to expose you to the way we think and the resources we have. Next page, please. Why do you plan? Because the more you plan, the more successful you're going to be. If you don't plan, it's sort of like it's random. It's like you can't imagine a baseball pitcher up there that just wildly throws a ball. that guy sit there, he's, all right, here's the batter, what am I gonna do, how am I gonna throw it, right? In that sequence. That's really what planning for a business is. It's thinking through. Everything that I'm talking about, you're going to do without spending any money whatsoever, nothing. The planning part is the mental part along with the mentor. If you want to get a mentor, go to score.org and it just says, get a mentor. You fill in a little bit of information and someone will contact you. Next page, please. Creating a value proposition. This is one of the trickiest things to do, is a value proposition. Here's really what it means. It means, what is it that my business has and why are people going to care? There's like 32 million small businesses in the United States. How many coffee shops do you think there are of that? A lot, right? Now, creating a value proposition, next page, please, says that I'm going to use the words that says, here's who I am, here's what I'm doing. Next page, please. There we go, thanks. And you can read on there, it's a simple, clear statement. And I'm sorry, I would say for people here in the audience, I'm standing in front of the screen at the same time, that says why you're different. And if you wonder, how do I make a coffee shop different, right? Well, look what Starbucks did. You know what they did? They made a whole experience. By the way, they burn the coffee beans. That's how they do it. So you smell them when you're in the parking lot. That's exactly how they do it. They suck you in there. And then you got a nice place to sit and you want to stay all day. That's how they work. When I was a kid, I'm from West Baltimore, for what it matters, over in the Forest Park area. But when I was a kid, I used to get water out of the tap. And by the way, I still do, to drink it. But think about going into a 7-Eleven, people, they want a certain brand of water. Can you imagine branding a bottle of water? But they do. And if you think you can brand water, you can certainly brand your business. And you can come up with something different. Next slide, please. So, because I'm going through 9 blocks, that was one. Here's how you make the value proposition. It's one sentence. My product or service is, fill in the blank. I will sell it to, fill in the blank, and it provides a value of, fill in the blank. And then value of means, why will I care if I drink your coffee or eat your food or have your lawn mowing service or whatever that may be. Next slide, please. I highlighted this. If you ever go to YouTube, whether you go to the library and get it or you do it at home, whatever access you have, look at that bottom right corner. There was an old TV show called Mad Men. They show the guy making a pitch on there to sell something to a bunch of guys that didn't want to hear it, right? But it's an emotional pitch. It's a real good idea of how you create a value proposition, something that resonates, that hits the heart. So you're always doing this in terms of the benefits that your customer receives. It's not the way you think it's right. It's the way your audience thinks it's right. Well, what do I want? You see that last part? It's not what they buy, it's what they get, what they value. Next slide, please. All right, 3 sections. That's pretty good. We got through 1. We only got, is that 8 to go? So the problem, here's what it means by problem. A problem is simply a need. Okay, let's just, and I'll keep using coffee shops just because it's an easy example. But let's say you had people that lived over in, I don't know, Dundalk, and they were coming in here, but on the way to work, and on the way to work, they wanted coffee. Well, so the problem is, I'm not going to make it home. I just want a quick stop. So somebody makes a coffee shop along Route 40 or something like that. That's the problem. Somebody wants coffee, you're giving them coffee, right? Or somebody wants their grass cut, you're cutting their grass. Or somebody wants their hair done, you're doing their hair. That's what we mean by problem. What's your solution to that? Let's go with hair care. There's a lot of hair care, a lot of cosmetologists around. So people may want a local cosmetologist to help do their hair. So you find that you're in an area where there's nobody around, and you've gone to the academy, you know how to cut hair and style hair. And so you set that up because you've looked around, you say, my target audience is right here around Moravia Road or Hartford Road or wherever that may be. So find the problem or the need, come up with your solution, and then see that last one on the right where it says customer segments. I'll tell you why that's important. I've talked to many people that will start a business and they'll say, oh, everybody's going to buy my product. 330 million people in the United States. Everybody's going to buy our product. Let's narrow that down a little bit. Not everybody's going to get a haircut from you. Not everybody's going to buy coffee from you. So maybe your audience is geographic. I'm gonna work in this zip code or these blocks. Maybe it's old people, young people, middle people, people with babies. The more you define who your target audience it is, right? The more you define that to yourself, the more efficient your advertising is going to be. Because you're not going to suddenly be advertising, let's say moms with new babies, and you have a baby product. You're not going to be advertising an AARP to a bunch of retired people. They don't have babies, I hope. So what you're going to do is define your target audience, and when you do that, be very specific. You know who you're selling to and what you need to do to reach them. Next slide, please. I'm going to tilt this around a little bit. For folks who are online here, the reason I look up and down is we have plenty of people in the room here as well as people online. So I want to focus on my target audience. It's everybody here. So here's an example in this slide, which says on the left, see that the problem or the need, the customer, what is your product solving? What keeps them up at night? And what are the alternatives? What that means is look for people that would likely compete against what you're going to do. You know how you find competitors? Go on Google, go to the library and go on Google, go do it at home, wherever you have access. Look up the same thing you're doing and see who else is doing what you're doing. Now, when you do that, you can learn from them. You can also say, I can do better. Or, ooh, they've really got something that I want to duplicate or I don't want to do. You got to know who your competitors are. I have had people come in starting a business say, I have no competition. And I said, well, let's think about what you're doing, take a look around. And there's always somebody that's going to do what you want to do. Even if you have a United States patent, I have a patent, I've invented something. There's still people that are going to try to take it. That's human nature. So look at the competition. The Ravens don't go in there and practice without thinking about who they're going to go against. They don't just run and catch balls. They're thinking, all right, who are the teams and how do they behave? That's competition. All right, and the problem you see on the bottom right in yellow, features that solve the problem. There's two things to remember it's a product or a service. There's features like, okay, here's my cup of coffee. Here's what it tastes like. Here's how big the cup is and so on. And then there's benefits. Benefits are how people feel when they use it. It's like, here's a cup of coffee. Yeah, so what? Right, but you're gonna enjoy where you're buying it. We always know your name. We have the flavor that you like and the cup you like. You smell the aroma. That's the benefit part. The feature is a literal description of what your product or service is. The benefit is how it's going to help somebody. Next slide, please. And I'm good till what time? So I don't want to race too fast.
It's at 11, Janine.
Okay. Well, give me the flag if I'm too slow. Okay. And I will take questions, I promise. And I'll take questions after. I'll be throughout the whole conference. I'll be here if you want to ask one-on-one. Please do. Rather than go through this in particular, on the webinar that I give, we just use this little example of a guy that teaches people to ride horses. And this is all set up so you see how you can stage it yourself for whatever product or service that you have. So in this case, this was designed out of Washington, D.C. area. And the problem was people apparently buy horses outside the county there. They don't know how to ride them. They don't know what to do. So this guy says, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. On the bottom right, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to come to your barn. I'm going to teach you one-on-one so you're not embarrassed by everybody else. And I'm going to teach you to ride on your horse, because horses are like people. They have personalities. You have nice ones, you have terrible ones. You have gentle ones, you have, rambunctious ones. So that's his value proposition. One-on-one, I'm going to give you confidence and comfort. I've got other examples that I'll leave without going through. This is simply a way of positioning and thinking, and you will have a copy of this presentation. Next slide, please. Okay, describe your customer segment. This is what I was referring to before as far as being very specific. So look at this one here. It says, describe who your best customer is going to be. And this one says, kids who play soccer in the Arlington area. Well, I can tell you that you want to be really specific. Let's say you're a high school coach, whatever sport, doesn't matter, right? Or you're a coach and you have a coaching academy. There are so many parents of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who want their kids to play sports in high school. High school sports are extremely competitive, and college gets even more so than pro as the ultimate. So maybe your customer base are, my target audience are parents of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who want to play high school soccer, basketball, baseball, football, it doesn't matter, lacrosse, whatever. That's how you frame it, so you're very specific on your target audience. I gotta tell you that from what I'm racing through here, it's a lot of information. This could be taught in a 1-semester class in college, so take it as it comes. It's more of an example of how we do it. Feel free to go online. I encourage you to go online to score.org, and if you get a mentor and sign up for any of these webinars, they're all listed there. Once you have a mentor, it's free. For one series, they charge $25 still because of the cost of making them. But if you have a mentor, it's free, and we'll give you the code and all that. So anyway, apologies for racing through it. I just want to deliver concepts. Next page, please. Okay, another example here, and this is just set up on a frame so you can see. It's on the left, it says, here's my customers, here's what I'm going to go after. And on the right, he's very specific. He says, you know what, I'm going to teach people to ride that are only 25 miles away from Potomac area in Washington. I'm going to get people that just got a horse and whose kids are nagging them, no pun intended on nag, whose kids, you know, listen, my kids, and I've got 3 kids. Nobody has a horse, all right? Just an example, take it for what it is. That's all it is. It doesn't matter if it's a product or service, but you can see the way the dude, the fictional character, wrote this. He wrote it in a way that says, yeah, I know who I'm going to go after, I know where they are, and I'm going to tell them something, sell them something that will really appeal to them. Next slide, please. Wow, I highlighted the whole thing. Yes. Wait, back up 1, please. Okay, 1 forward. It just highlighted it for laughs there. Okay, all this says is, the guy that trained the dude here that trains him, his catchphrase is one-on-one training, your stable, your horse. Real simple, right? Confidence, your animal, and I'll come to you and I won't embarrass you in front of a bunch of other adults when you fall off the horse. That's really all this example is. There's nothing fancy about this. It's just appealing in a phrase or a value proposition that means something to people. Oh, I'll tell you one thing that's really tricky on value proposition. You see that first thing that says describe your product in 15 words or less? That's hard to do. It's easy to write a lot. It's hard to write a little. So give you an example of the power of few words though. So in 1863, after the Battle of Gettysburg, Abraham Lincoln rode the train from Washington up to Gettysburg. He wrote the speech, you know, on a piece of paper by hand on the way. At the time he gave the speech, there was another guy giving a speech. The guy's name was Edward Everett. And back in that time, no TV, no radio, no nothing, people loved, they called it oration. Speaking was a skill. It was like, wow, magnificent. So before Lincoln got on there, this guy gets up, Edward Everett gets up, talked for 2 hours. This time of year, it was hotter than talked for 2 hours, right? And I'm sure the newspapers read elegant speech, blah, 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 blah. Sat down, Lincoln got up. How long did he speak? Anybody know? Gettysburg Address. About 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, something like that. It was really fast. It was really short. And I can tell you that nobody remembered the first guy's speech. Everybody remembered the second because he got to the essence of what it was all about. 407 years ago, our forefathers brought forth to this continent a new nation, right? It was only that long. I'm only a man, it's only that long a speech. That's the power of few words and the right words. Next slide, please. Gee, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to highlight everything. Nothing's highlighted. All right, so we're not going to go through this again. That is a value proposition example. Next slide. There we go. Why do you do this? You do it because it matters to the buyer. It makes them think about what you're doing and what you're selling. It sticks in their head. That's why you do it. If you don't do this, if you don't know why you exist, let's just pretend here in this room that we're in, big room for everybody, we start a coffee shop. Put a little stand back here, we got plumbing in, and we put a sign that says coffee. It's like, okay, maybe people come in, maybe they won't. If we have something that maybe creates this as a neighborhood space, or we're really close to Morgan State campus here. We have Morgan State favorite coffee. We have the undergraduate favorite coffee, something that sticks in there. And maybe, not maybe, but our audience happens to be students at Morgan State. So we spend all our advertising at Morgan State. We know our target audience, undergraduate and graduate students. That's how you create a value proposition. Best coffee for the best students at the best university. Next slide. I think, where are we in slides here? Challenging me. I got it. Like, let's see, where are we here? All right, and that's the how you write it piece. Again, you have a copy of this. You start with my product or service is 15 words or less. I'll sell it to 15 words or less, and it provides them a value of 15 words or less. There's an expression called elevator speech. If you haven't heard what an elevator speech is, here's what it means. Back in the 1950s, all the advertising around the United States was done in New York City on Madison Avenue. And, you know, obviously high-rise buildings. So an elevator speech was the idea that you step into the elevator with a person that had the ability to promote your product across the United States. And you had from ground floor 1 until ground floor 50, when that person got off, to say, here's what I'm all about, like that. Quick, short, and matters. That's what an elevator speech is. Next slide, please. Defining your unique advantage and path to the customers. Okay, next slide, please. Unfair advantage. Please avoid thinking that unfair is bad. In business, unfair is good. It's like, I'll go back to the Ravens again. Unfair advantage of our safeties are they're faster than the receivers. Is that an unfair advantage? God, I hope it is. But that's what you want. An unfair advantage is something that can't easily be duplicated. Now, speed can't be duplicated. However, business stuff can all be duplicated. It's just harder to duplicate. That's what unfair advantage means. You create something that makes it tough to get there. You know, they're back in the Middle Ages in England, they'd have a castle and they have a moat around it, right? Full of sewage and no alligators, but sewage. And then they had a little drawbridge to go over. The reason they did that, and big walls, it made it hard for the enemy to get in. Could the enemy get in? Yeah, but it sure took them a lot of effort. That was their unfair advantage. That's what you want, something that makes it tougher to copy what you're doing. And then channels we'll talk about. Let's next slide, please. So that's just what I said a moment ago. It really can't easily be copied. That's all that is. Here, let me go back to the channels here. Let's see, are we in the right sequence? Path to customer is simply how are they going to get to you? If you have an online company, you need to have a good web page. We always recommend, if you do have any company, eventually, you have a web page, eventually. And I mean, if you can do it early on, it's really not expensive, sometimes free. You can actually do it free. We have resources at score.org that will show you how to do that. You can create a website. The reason you do this is when people talk to you and you've told them what you're all about, they're going to right away check you out. They're going to look at that website. Oh, what's this business? What do? They sell formula to babies. They do hair. They do coffee. What do they do? And on the website, it says your value proposition. Here's who we are, what we do, and why you should care. And here's how you get it. Here's how you access it. If this place we're in right this minute, we go back, we've created a coffee store, and we're trying to get the Morgan State students to come over here. They're going to look at that website. We're going to say on Tuesday, you get 2 for 1. We're going to say on football days, bring your parents. We're going to say something like that. That will encourage people to come over. But when you have it on your website, and let's say you advertise on Facebook, people look at it. And you're more likely to get their attention and get them coming to you. The channel is simply the path to you, to your business. That's all it is. Look at that bottom place. You see the under the where it says 1, 2, third bullet point. Below that, it says, how do you interact with your customers? I'm sorry, that bullhorn's in the way. You know, one of the most effective way to get customers is word of mouth. It's when people say, I really like what they did. I really like their service. Tell a friend. And if you have a business, you want to ask people for that recommendation. You do. You do it in a nice way. You know, the way not to do it is say, hey, tell somebody to come back your way. I'm struggling in this business. What you would say is, if you like the service we have, if you like the business we have, I'd appreciate it if you would share this with other people. Free, doesn't cost you anything. But the more you have people sharing with other people, that strikes into the most powerful force in the universe. You know, the most, according to Albert Einstein, you know what the most powerful force in the universe is? You never guess. You might guess. Yeah, the gravity, speed of light. No, it's none of that. It is, yeah, your mind. That's a real good one. That's what I'm getting a symbol in the audience. That's actually probably the best guess. It's called compound interest. So compound interest says that if you have $1 and it doubles to $2, and then it doubles to $4, you know, it keeps doubling like that. That's what compound interest is. I'll give you an example that nobody ever believes when I give it. It's true. I'll give it anyway. Okay, you can check it out on the adding machine. So if today I give you 1 penny, I give everybody in the audience 1 penny. Omar, I'll give you 1 penny. Tomorrow, I'll give you 2 pennies. Third day, I'll give you 4 pennies. Next day, I'll give you 8 pennies, and so on. After 30 days only, how much will I give Omar, my friend to this new friend to the side here? Anybody take a guess from the audience?
$3.
$3. Anybody else? So again, I'm giving a penny day 1. I've doubled it 30 times. On day 30, I will give him $5.6 million.
In
30 days, $5.6 million. Everybody looks skeptically. I'm telling you, it is true. Get your calculator when you go home and take a look. Penny a day and double for 30 days. So what's the example there? The example is if you have customers that are telling other people and they're telling other people, that is such a powerful way to grow a business. You do need to ask. You do need to ask if they do this. Next slide, please. Now that I've lost everybody because you don't believe that $5.6 million, but it's true. Okay, so this is just another example. I won't go through that again. Next slide, please, in the interest of time. So your unique advantage, this is what you're saying. And again, for folks in the audience, when you see me looking down, looking right at this camera here, that's why I'm, you know, serve everybody who has the listening. And I'm very appreciative that people came to this today. And I just pray that this is very helpful in some way to you. I know the whole program is, because I've seen this before, not mine necessarily, but everybody else's. So here's what you do to say your unique advantage. My product or service cannot be easily copied because, come up with 2 reasons for that. And I will use the following channels to reach the early adopters, or the people that are going to buy it first, right? So if you don't have something that can easily be copied, think through, you can come up with something. I mean, it's not fake, it's true, but you have to think of advantages. You know, I'm going to go back to one slight football advantage. Sorry for this, but I'll go with my favorite team, the Ravens, after the Orioles. But here's what it is. So in football, they look for the slightest advantage. So when you see a receiver go out for a ball and you've got a safety covering that guy, all they're trying to do is create enough separation like that. That's it. So that their hands are that much closer to the ball. They're not, you know, You see sometimes they're like 50 feet in front of the other guy. That's a broken play. That's not right. But they're creating the slightest advantage for the maximum benefit. If you got that extra 8 inches, you're going to get the ball and your defender won't. That's like business to you. Slight advantages, just enough to make a difference. Next slide, please. All right, this is wrapping up that. One more slide. And let's breeze through this a minute here. Metrics, cost structure, and revenue streams. Next slide, please. So here's what metrics are. Metrics are simply the things you decided to measure. Now, it's easy on a business to say, you know what I'm going to measure? I'm going to measure how much I sell. Well, you should, but that's only one measure. Let's just say you had a restaurant or a small coffee shop. No, we'll go with a sandwich shop. And you say, I want to know, I want to see that every day I want to have at least 15 customers. And of those 15 customers, I want to make sure that at least 5 of them buy a soda, buy a drink too. And I'm going to say on Sunday afternoon, I want to have X number of people come through. That's plenty. The reason you have metrics are when you decided what you're going to measure, you can influence it. You can do something about it. If you simply go and say, I'm going to open a shop, I'm going to sell to everybody and hold my breath and hope I make money, you can do that, but that's a guess. This is a matter of systematic planning. I'm looking at this true to time. I promise you I'm engaged and interested, but that's the only reason I'm looking at my watch here. So metrics are what you measure. When you see airplane pilots, by the way, they may be flying along straight and level, but you know, they're measuring a lot of things. They say, I want to see how high I am, how fast I am, where I am exactly, and what my next target is. They have specific measures. Is the engine overheating or cooler, or have enough fuel, and so on. Next slide, please. Okay, more examples that are just when you get this, you can just use these to take a look and say examples of how people set their metrics. Just for example, look at landscaping there on the top right of the page. It says how many total customers, sales per customers, how many people keep coming back, so I keep cutting the grass or whatever, and how many referrals. Remember that $5.6 million, penny a day. All right, next page, please. I know nobody pleased me. How do you generate revenue? This is simply describing the types of revenue, and I'm only spending a moment on this. It can be a one-time sale of a big thing. It could be a service where they come in all the time. And what you see a lot now are subscription services. If everybody looks on a credit card, it's like, wait a minute, every month I'm paying $5 for what? That's kind of the latest thing. You just need to decide how you're going to measure your sales and how you're going to generate that revenue. See the bottom there, sale of an asset or product or a service. If you have a service, I have a number of people that I mentor that are providing counseling services of some sort, and they measure by how many people they have and how many referrals they have, and how many hours per month do they get. Next page, please. More examples, riding school, don't need to do that. Next slide, please. Startup cost. So far, everything I'm saying is free. Nothing. Planning is free. Thinking is God's gift. Thinking is free, right? And thinking and planning, you can do a lot before you start asking for money, getting grants, borrowing money, talking to friends and family, whatever. You can do a lot. That's the planning part. But startup costs are what you're going to need when you start your business. If you had an online business, it's going to be, what did I have to pay for somebody to run my website in this case, not the one I told you that's free. If I have a restaurant, I'm going to have to buy chairs and lease a building and all that kind of thing. But this is the amount of money you need to get going. And when you know your startup cost, you always want to have enough money so that you're not, completely out of dough before the next month comes along. There are plenty of businesses that I mentor that really start with no capital though. This is just something that we did a slide to appeal to a wide audience of people, sometimes starting restaurants. Next slide, please. And these are just examples of the startup costs. I'm right up on the clock, so next slide, please. And I'm going to come on with one more slide. Boom. All right. Take a look back at this one. This is a summary of everything on that 9-block page. Summarizes the thought process that goes into it. Again, thinking is free. Thinking is important. Thinking is God's gift to us as human beings. I encourage you to use it. Encourage you to get a mentor. If you'd like to think through, come up with the idea. What is the business I want to start? You know, before you have that conversation. And you will have a copy of that as well. Next slide, please. And then we're almost wrapping it up, right? This is getting a big nod. Any questions here, or should we save that for later? I will be here throughout the duration.
So,
sir, do I have time?
Yeah. So,
yes,
Janae, so can we take questions here?
Yes, Do you have any in person? I have a few.
All right, so let's take the ones here first, Janae.
All right, in the room. Yes, sir.
So SCORE, I'm familiar with SCORE.
Good, thank you.
I've used SCORE. With SCORE, do you help with someone trying to create a nonprofit, to start a nonprofit?
Yes.
Do you help with nonprofit startups?
We do, and as a matter of fact, on, I'll tell you the date later, it's either, I think it's late September, I think it's the 27th, we have a webinar, 90 minutes, how to start a nonprofit. It's really great. The guy that does it knows this stuff totally. So I'll share it with you.
I would love that. Like,
yeah, I'm done. Online, what do we have?
One question is, do SCORE mentors help with the writing the business plan? If you get a SCORE mentor?
No, what the SCORE mentor does is guide you to your writing it, but we will then look at it and give advice and counsel along the way. So the difference between a mentor and a consultant is as follows. A consultant is somebody you pay to do those things you want to do. You pay a consultant to write your plan. You pay a consultant to do everything. But in our case, as mentors, we're really getting the best out of you and guiding you through the process. Online, when you go to score.org, you're going to find how to write a business plan beyond what I did here. There's a lot of examples on there. So it's up to you. And then the SCORE mentor, absolutely, we review it with you and help make it better as you go.
And one more question. What is the difference, or is a business plan and marketing plan the same thing?
Say that again, please.
Is a business plan and marketing plan the same thing?
No, here's what a business plan is: the overall structure of how I'm going to create, run, measure, advertise, do all the above. That in itself is encompassing for your business. A marketing plan is one aspect of that, right? Here's a business plan, here's a marketing plan. You do build a marketing plan that says, all right, I'm going to use Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm going to get an airplane to fly a banner around the stadium, whatever you're going to do. That can be a separate plan. It's kind of a subset of that business plan.